We are located at Chado.
All right. Well,
To rope it in because it's the law. If you're able to find somewhere, you can find that loophole and make use of it. But then again, there's still protection for us anyways. So I'm starting with this. My colleague will come in. We want to make this session very interactive, so there will be a lot of scenarios where we'll have to contribute. If we don't contribute, we can't get what we really want out of it because that's your space. We are lawyers. We can tell you what we can that will help you, safeguard you. But if you don't interact with us, we cannot really get to that point where we can come up with solutions. I hope we are okay with that. Thank you. So my colleague will continue for me.
Hi, everybody. Again. Yes, so my colleague asked if anybody has ever posted something online and hasn't made any money from it. I would like to start from who has ever taken a selfie before on your own phone? Who has taken a selfie before? Okay, great. So when you take the selfie on your phone, who do you think owns it? Let me ask one of the people here, one of my dancers. You take a selfie on your phone, who owns it?
the person who took it.
Okay, great. You take the selfie on your phone, but in your friend's room. Who still owns it?
The person who took the selfie.
Okay, let me take it from another angle. A photographer takes a picture of you. Who owns it?
Photographer.
How is you? Why would I book a photographer? I will do makeup. I will dress, pick car to the venue, pay the photographer to take a picture of me, and he owns my picture. Why?
It's his creative license.
Okay, that's great. So that is where copyright comes in. I wouldn't call copyright a power. I wouldn't call it a principle or a theory. I'd call it a power. Now, my colleague mentioned that there are not a lot of laws around this, but it will surprise some of you to know that we actually in Ghana. That dates as far back as 2005. So we have the Copyright Protection Act, or the Copyright Act, Act 690. So if you Google, it will pop up for you. Now, the copyright protection is given to something you create, right? So it's not an idea. If you have an idea to take a picture, right, you don't take the picture, copyright is not going to inure to your benefit. Let me put it that way. So it covers things like literary work, dance, cinematography, photography, even software. That's what copyright does. So if, let's say, in this dance department, you create something, a dance, a choreography for this program, right? Who do you think owns the choreography? Is it the school? Is it the performers? Is it the person that videos the performance?
So we're discussing context.
Context, yes. So let me take it from.
If I do anything for my company, it's
Yeah.
my company.
Because it's going online.
Yeah. If I do anything for my company, it's for my company.
Okay.
But the moral rights, as in who created it, credits, my name is on, right? So I'm the individual who did it, but it's in the name of the organization that I work with. And
Okay.
again, we also, what informs it is also the conditions that govern how my employment in terms, like what did I really sign?
So you signed the contract.
So yeah, so if by signing a contract it means that you don't have access, or you relinquish whatever rights there is by virtue of the nature of the contract you're signing, then that's what it means.
Okay.
So I understand the question, but everything has to be contextualized so that it's easier for us to be able to flow.
Okay.
I think again with context, since most of us here are in the education, putting it in context here, as a department, you are under a department.
Yes.
So posters will come, you choreograph the work, but the work belongs to the department for a certain number of years
Okay.
after you are done, before you even have access to it, to even reproduce it somewhere again.
Okay.
So that's what happens. So in the context of academia, those are some of the rules that govern some of these creative. Yes, you'll be on the poster that you created the work, you choreographed the work, but it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the university under the department, or the department under the university.
Okay, so we know it belongs to the university because of the rules that have been made, not
Yeah.
so. Okay, great. So that brings us to the second portion, or a second part of it. Ordinarily, under the Copyright Act, once you are the creator, it has to be an original creation of yours. It must be in an expressible form. So phone, picture, that's why it covers literary works, poems, dances, sound recordings, things like that, not ideas. Once it's in an expressible form, then it is given automatic copyright protection. That means that you, the creator, legally, you would be called the author. You become the owner as well. Once you've made it, you become the owner as well. Now, the context the gentleman here brought about is as a result of him working in another person's employment. That is an exception to it. Because when you are in someone else's employment, for example, and you create something for them, and there are some terms and conditions governing it, then you have to go according to the terms and conditions. So in such an instance, you have given them some right to use the creation that you've come up with, right? But it doesn't take away the moral rights. So before I get to the moral rights, I would say that under copyright, we have two types of rights. We have the exclusive rights, that's the right to monetize it, make some gain from it. And then the moral rights, which is the right you get, let's say, credit, respect, all of that, great. So if a company, would you please come in?
Exclusive, is it the same as economic?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes. So if a company contracts you to do something, or you do something for your company under their employment, and you have an understanding that they get to use it, now they get the exclusive or the economic rights. That means they get to benefit from it, but it doesn't take away the fact that you are the creator. So based on your contract, let's say if it's a 10-year contract, for that 10 years, if they use it for advertisements or whatever, they get the money. But you maintain the right to still have the credits regardless. That is something that is in our act. Nobody can take the moral rights away from you. So if you, I don't want to mention any company's name, but if you do something for an old company, you sign a contract, you're supposed to do a choreography, do a poem, do something for them, and they get to use it, you still retain the right to be credited. So nobody can ever take the moral rights away from you. So think of it like a book, right? We all buy books. So there's always an author to the book. But the moment you purchase it, you become the owner. It's the same thing with copyright. We have the author, who in the beginning is also the creator. So using the selfie example, when you take the selfie, you are the author because you created it. And in that moment, you are the owner because copyright is automatic. Once you create something, automatically you are copyrighted. You don't need to go and register it for copyright to kick in. You register it because you want to notify the world. But nobody can abuse your creation because they say you haven't registered it, so copyright doesn't affect you. No, that is not what our act says. Once you create, automatically it is yours. You register it, the world knows, fair enough. You don't register it, you are still copyright protected. So, author and owner are two distinguishable terminologies, but they can also be the same at a certain point. So I would pause here for questions.
Question.
Yeah.
So I create something. I don't notify anybody.
Yeah.
Somebody else goes to notify the authorities. Later on, I begin to contest it.
What did you create?
I'm just using what, because you didn't specify. You said if you create something.
In the context of the things I mentioned, like your literary work, I said it doesn't cover ideas, it doesn't cover certain things. Copyright offers protection for literary work, for sound recording, for artistic work, computer software, derivative work.
Good. So let's say any of these elements you've mentioned, I create it. And then somebody else goes to notify the authorities that they have created this and they register it. I haven't registered it because based on what you're saying, so once I create, it is mine, right? So you're saying once I create, it is mine, whether I register it or not. So the question here is, yes, I've created, I haven't notified anybody, I'm expecting that it's mine. Somebody else goes to register it. After 5 years, they ask me to stop using it because it's not mine. What happens?
They can't ask you to stop using it.
No, they have asked and they have reason because theirs is registered and mine is not.
So that's a wrong position of the law, because the position of the law is that copyright is automatic. So you create your video or you create a film, right? You haven't registered it, but the film has been created, it's yours. The mere fact that someone has taken your work and registered it doesn't make the work the person. That's an infringement.
Yeah,
So
but how do I then prove, like, do you understand what I'm saying?
That's why it should be in an expressible form. So what form is yours in?
Expressible. So
What
let's say.
expressible form? So is it a movie?
Okay,
Is
so I've done a movie. I have not published it.
yeah.
People know that I've done a movie. I have not registered it. Somebody takes the same copy, goes to register it, and publishes it, and makes noise about it, even launches it, and maybe I'm not aware. After 5 years, I'm like, but this is mine. Okay, so then what happens?
Okay, so in this scenario, even though you didn't register it, you have drafts, the process that you used in getting the movie done. You can take them on. The courts are there for us. So we go to court. You are able to prove that this is your work. You have your drafts, the processes. You have witnesses. The actors were in it. So they can all come out and bear witness to the court that, okay, this is our work. And then, okay, you are coming again.
No, sorry. I'm just trying to establish something. So the moral of the story is that if you create something, publish it.
First, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you are not going, even if you don't register it, publish it so that it is out there and there's time stamp on it so that you can always go back to it and say this is when it was first published, because you can identify it so that there's some form of witness. Because if somebody goes to register it before you and you go to court, that is the only evidence they are going to use, really, or the elements thereof in terms of witnesses or people attesting to the fact that this was indeed created before the date that the person came to register it. Otherwise, if you don't do that, then the rule of thumb would be for you to go and register it, if that can be. And if we don't have a system like that, then that becomes our point of advocacy for them to make it easier for us to register anything that we create. Because we shouldn't allow a systemic failure to become the norm if it needs to be addressed, especially because we are creating an industry that serves our purpose. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, I think we would come to the issue of registering or publishing your work as we go on. I think it is one key thing that, but I think one of my students have a question.
Okay. So I wanted to ask, if two people are in the same room and then I have an idea of a new movement I want to create, but then I'm not able to, let's say, produce it, and then Coded is able to do it, who does it belong to? Because I thought of it, I explained it, I brought it, I was able to express myself. No, it's in my head. Yes. No, yes, it's in my head. I picture everything, and then I'm able to voice it out, and then I tell him, I'm like, oh, I want this move to be in this, like, particular way, but I don't know how to do it, and he does it. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I want. But then Coded is the one who did the movement. But then I brought the idea, and I brought how I want it to be. So who does the movement belong to? And who has the right to actually publish it? But then I thought about it, he did it. So who is it for?
Is it the movement in your head or the movement that was done?
So what is done now? The movement is now done. By Coded. I thought about it. I brought everything out. I did the plan, everything. But then he was able to.
I think this is simple. You need to keep thinking and let those who would want to practice it do it. You know, when I was growing up, I'm old school. Okay, so I don't know how that would pertain to today. All right. So when I was growing up, we were told that if you create anything, all right, you have to, for instance, you create a play or you write a story or something that you have done and you are able to capture it, all right, in order for you to have evidence of what you have created, you would get the thing in the form of images or on paper or whatever it is, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it. These days we don't use stamps any longer. Put a stamp on it, post it to yourself. When it comes, put it in your drawer. And then when anything comes up, so for instance, if you and him had created this thing, I believe that what you have to do is to come to an agreement with him that I am bringing the idea. You are the one who is going to perform it. Both of us own this thing, all right? Capture that image of you, what you have said, and what he has done. Capture it, mail it to yourself. When it comes, don't open the seal because there's a stamp on it. And the nation has stamped it. And then you keep, I don't know how you can apply that today.
Uncle Terry, email, exactly. Old school, we are fast. We are now in technology.
My big mouth has
Email yourself, email it to yourself. It will come again with time and everything, and you are done with that. Yeah. So their thoughts could have been put, even recorded. Maybe you can write it. So you can voice mail, whatever. Do the voice note and then email it to yourself. And it's there. So now when you talk to whoever it is, agree that you are co-creating. So you are the brain and then he is the implementer or whatever you want to call it. And then you are good to go. I'll go and study law.
Okay, but one other thing is that the law also makes room for co-authors. Yes. So if you are able to express it, what the law says is a fixed or definite medium. So if it's not just a thought, because he could not have read your mind to have created that act. But if you were able to express it definitively, for him to recreate it, it is possible. I cannot speak for a fact because I am not a judge. If it goes to, because the judge may have to determine that. But if it's in line with what the law says, it's an original thought or an originality, it has to be original, and it's in a definite expressible form, it is possible that they would say that that is copyright protected. Yes. So it's also possible that if you expressed it well, definitively, and he did the actions, both of you can come together and be co-authors. But ultimately, it is for a judge to make that determination. Once you're able to prove that what you did is in conduct or it's in line with what the law says, yes. But ideas cannot be copyrighted. That is a fact, yes.
So I have a question.
Yes, please.
So a few years back, there was a dance that was created by Ghanaians called Azonto. And of course, it was a communal kind of creation, but we knew a few specific people who contributed immensely to its development. Then a group in Nigeria picked the movement and used the movement, made a lot of money, came to sit on stage, bragging, I'm saying this thing because Robert is here, bragging that they have made a lot of money from their dance and their videos and all that. But they capitalized on Azonto. And we were trying to see how best we can get them to pay some form of compensation to the creators of this dance. How feasible do you think that would have been for us?
Okay, first of all, what year are we talking about?
Okay, so Azonto started around 2010, getting towards 2011, thereabout, and then it moved on all the way. And it kind of fizzled out, but it metamorphosed into what we call Afropop today. Okay.
So we had the Copyright Act in 2005. Before the Copyright Act, Ghana was a signatory to an international treaty, which is the Berne Convention, among others, such that if your creation is copyrighted over here in Ghana, and it's supposed to be recognized in another country or in another state that is a party to that convention we have signed. So if it is the case that for lack of a better word, the infringers or the infringing parties in the country that is a party to that convention, then if we have protection, they should not be able to abuse it. So everything goes back to the court. If you are able to show that we created it here, these are our creators, it's original, it is in a definitive form, it was created in Ghana, then the courts would have to hold that then it belongs to us. Those are the elements that are stated in the law. Now, if such a judgment is passed here, and the people infringing are in a country that are parties to that convention, then they would have to follow what has been said in the judgment. That's about it. Yes. So everything goes back to the court. Once there's no contract between the parties, when you enter into a contract, you can state your own mechanism for dispute resolution. But once there's nothing like that, then you have to go back to the court. That is if they are not willing to settle, come to the table like men and women, man to man, let's do this, then you have to rely on the courts, yes, to make that determination for us.
Okay. I have two things I'm going to say. The first one has to do with the challenge. One of the challenges we have is that those who are within the space of the law, even though they study copyright, the specific domains that is supposed to apply to, most of them we realize that they don't have a lot of knowledge about it. And so that becomes our weakness, because then we don't have people who are representing the interest of specific domain with enough knowledge. What do we mean? What he just described is about something that has been created by a community. I don't know whether I should call it cultural appropriation or misappropriation or whatever, whether it falls in that particular space. But again, it is the basis for it is like saying Ghanaians have used Guara Guara and all the South African steps to be able to make money. Do South Africans deserve to receive some form of money from Ghanaians, given that economic exploitations happened on the basis of the songs that were dance steps that were used in a particular song? If that is the case, then do Ghanaians also deserve some compensation from Azonto being used in any part of the world? That's the nature of the conversation, because it is a community-based development, and so you don't have one owner. So that is one that I would want for you to touch on. The second one has to do with, I remember we're having this conversation, and right now, there are people who create dance steps. If you check the US law, I don't know about the other laws, but again, you might know, but I know probably in Ghana it doesn't cover it. But with respect to dance, it covers choreography, and it deals with originality, movement, arrangements, and all of that. So it covers choreography. So choreography done, then somebody owns it. So the person created it, and so it goes into the person's name. But we don't have anything that covers a dance step. But within our space, we have a generation who are full of several dance steps that is becoming the basis for even the choreographies that are created. So are we saying that, or is it, there's a law in our case? I don't know, because again, law differs from different jurisdictions. So does it cover choreography? And if it does, what happens to the person who created the various steps responsible for the basis of that particular choreography? Because the building block of a choreography is a dance step. So the person who created it, do they have an opportunity to benefit from it? That's my second question. And my last question. Because music videos have benefits and people make money from it, it's monetization, this and that and all of that. Or even if somebody were to put any video out, so let's say I create my own choreography, I put it on YouTube, the sound I'm using is my own sound, and so I don't really have issues with respect to the music copyright. But the dance I'm doing in there was created by, let's say, Rich Boy Hero. He created, and I'm saying that because he created, he's got some dance steps that he's created. What happens? I'm exploiting, I'm making money. The dance step, I'm dancing giddy giddy, then I'm collecting all the fans. He created it. Is there a way that he can get some compensation? These are gray areas that I would like for a conversation to be held on. So that if I should be in Ghana and I'm watching Janet Jackson do coupe, then I let, what's the name? Incredible Ziggy, that your coupe is being danced in America. No, but because it happened. So maybe he's supposed to get some coins, but the coins has not come. That kind of stuff. You understand? So that's the nature of the conversation I want us to have. Once we're able to get, I think that dancers as creators can also become wealthy because they create, they promote, and if people are able to jump on, then they can also earn money from their creativity for as long as they live, because that's what musicians really do. My three plenty questions.
So I think we are taking the topics one after the other. Yes. What you are asking directly for or is related to contracts?
No.
Yes. You see, you were saying you do a dance choreograph for a music and it goes out there. Before all this is done, there has to be pre-contractual stages.
No, so there's no contract. So let me explain again so you understand.
Then maybe I'm not getting you.
Please, what's your favorite dance?
Hey, do I have a favorite dance?
Or you don't dance at all?
Oh, I can do the chair one.
So wait. So you can do this in Azonto?
On the chair.
Yes, yeah, on the chair. Assuming you go and take a video of yourself doing this on the chair, and then you put it on YouTube and you make so much money out of it, and then the person who created that particular dance step, this one, come say, but you've made money. Where is mine? Because I created the move. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so
you realize that it's got nothing to do with contract. The person is in the north somewhere. You are in some country somewhere. And then you have done a video and you've earned so much money.
A video on what?
A video on that dance.
With a music. Or there's
Yes.
no music.
Let's say there's no music. So the focus is on your dance.
Can you dance without music?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
No, because I'm even giving you the answer because I don't want you to include the music conversation.
In fact, very, very, very yes.
Okay, then I think I have to come and learn. Yeah, but then...
So I think it comes back to this point, as in the fact that you sitting at the table here wanting to defend us, what content do you have?
Okay.
The knowledge
the knowledge.
Yeah.
It also goes back to all of us here that is a great area for employment, or like what do you call career paths. Yesterday, Dr. Kuwa was talking about the paths. So as in copyright laws for dance or for creative artists, these are because then you know it, and so when you are talking, you understand it.
I think one thing I would encourage all of us to do is to take a look at the Copyright Act, because when you gave that scenario, I had to go back and refer, and I realized that there's a whole section on performer rights. I had forgotten about it. But there's a whole section on performer rights, such that if you're a performer, whatever you put out there should not be shared without your knowledge. That is why sometimes you would see on TikTok that someone is recreating something and then they credit the original maker. So if someone does it and doesn't credit you, that's an infringement. And what do you do when there's an infringement? You have to take the person on. You either, first of all, maybe you get the person to credit you. If the person refuses and you have all the things to show that it is yours, then you have to take the person on. And I think that's one thing a lot of people fear over here in this country. You know, you don't test the law. We don't test the law, so we have a Copyright Act since 2005, but we don't have so many cases on copyright under it. Why? Why is nobody doing anything about it? Why is nobody enforcing what is in it? Your right is stated there. So the scenario you gave, it is stated there clearly. So if the person does something without your knowledge, that is an infringement. And the Act makes room for what you should do when there's an infringement. That's it. Another thing is that you stated earlier, if I didn't get it well, but you know, not every lawyer can do copyright or intellectual property. So if you go and take somebody who has been practicing for 15 years, has been doing criminal, has been doing divorce, has been doing land, that the person should come and do copyrights for you, what are you expecting? We have people in that space that deal specifically with IP. So you take them, they do what they're supposed to do for you, and you get the needed result. So you would see people saying, oh, this lawyer is not doing what he's supposed to do for me. Yeah, he can't do it for you. You know, we don't specialize here. So I can't get up and say I'm an IP lawyer. I can do everything. But you need to look at the person's area of practice. Okay, you've been practicing for this number of years, but what have you been doing? If you've been doing land, if you've been doing divorce, and I take you for copyright, and you haven't showed me that at least you are abreast with the law, even though you've not practiced in that area, what kind of results do you expect to get?
I think that's a fair point, but the reality too is the fact that for the most of you don't project yourselves as people who understand our space for us to be able to reach out to you. And I'm saying this because really people are and I've spoken to lawyers. They tell you they're interested in the gas and oil. They'll name them, and they'll tell you that these are the areas that give them the money. Yeah. So I understand that you have to make money. So don't blame us too much, because I'm wondering if you are chasing Rich Boys Heroes project, how much money you are going to earn for E9. They need their money some. So if you talk about paying you, and then the person that he's going to sue, he's going to sue you. This person, how much money he gets? You understand what I'm saying? So we understand all of that, but that is why for me, and I would say this any day, anytime, I actually even feel like the Copyright Office should not even be under Attorney General's department. It should be under the Ministry of Culture and Creative Arts and Tourism, because they are responsible for they are interested in the individuals in the space. The Attorney General Department is interested in the integrity of the law. But for the law to come alive, it has to be transferred to a department that is responsible for the interest of the people and their growth and its working and all of that. So I get what you're saying, but I think that's also a great area. Why would you also create a law and the law is not known to the people who are supposed to be benefiting from it? Because it's like creating a constitution of Ghana and then we wait for lawyers to come and interpret it to us. What happened to all the 18 years when we were in school? Teach us the law and then we'll become law compliant. Don't wait until we are old, then you say, but you broke this law. But I don't know the law even exists. And then you tell me that I need to get a lawyer to interpret it. If you want me to be a law-abiding citizen, teach me the law. From what am I doing in class? Some courses I'm doing, there's no value. I'm still looking for the pie chart people. pi, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? You know, I'm not saying it's not totally relevant, yes, but I'm saying that there are some courses we are doing, we don't have the direct benefit. And there are some things that we need the direct benefit, not like now. So teach me the law. Don't wait for me to go and hire a lawyer. It's difficult for us to even pay to live. So I understand where you're coming from, but the truth must be said. And so I'm saying it. I mean,
Okay.
Okay.
But then
All
just to add, I think apart from the law not being known, the creatives are also not ready to test the law. Most of you go behind the scenes, you talk hush, money's exchange hands. If we don't test the law, we can't grow it. That is how the law works. So when the issues come up, let's be ready to test the law. Let's go to court. Instead of going, most of you do it. You go, you meet behind the scene, someone comes in, they mediate, then you agree to take some hush money, then you just come out and put a post out there that you have talked about it and everything is okay, you are friends, everything has been. Please tell me if I'm lying.
Okay, so, all right. Of course, I'm part of the discussion, but I've taken a step back and I'm looking at the scenario. And I would just like to caution that we do not overly, because our space is a kind of a special space, especially when it comes to popular music and dance. It's a kind of a space that you cannot at a point be drawing strict boundaries. You understand? And that is what makes it even more complicated. You have people who are, so for instance, I'll give you an example. For instance, if Ghana was able to have gotten some money from P Square, okay, that P Square says, okay, I am giving you $50,000 out of the $1 million that I got. I'm giving Ghana $50,000. There's going to be a fight. In fact, there's going to be a big fight in Ghana as to who owns that money because of the specialty of that space. So, yes, we are pushing. But if we also do not take care, I appreciate all the things that Robert has said concerning we being educated in the area of the law and all that. But if we don't take care, because we are talking about dance steps, we are talking about choreography, there are differences. So I can do one move that becomes a dance step that everybody can be doing all around the place. But once I begin to put movements together and create a choreographic piece, that moves into the area of true publishing. Do you understand? That moves into the area of ownership, complete ownership. But when you do a dance steps are like, oh, is a kind of a simple, straightforward thing. It's like somebody has created an English word, and the person says that, Suarez. You have Suarez my time. I created Suarez. All right? And therefore, you have to give me intellectual property. That becomes, but when I have created a whole sentence, a whole writing, and I've used Suarez in there and all that, and created a whole choreographic, then talking about payment and intellectual property and all that becomes very, very significant. So yes, we are pushing the grounds. If we don't take care, we'll push ourselves into an area where you do one, then there are two lawyers coming. One is saying that I'm representing so and so from Accra, and another person is saying that I'm from Kumasi. You use my movement. You understand? So it is a very special space that we must also be very, very conscious of what we want to push for. The issues of us being educated, I think, is brilliant and all that. But we must also be careful that we don't overstep and then create chaos instead of order. Yeah. Okay, so before you speak, I have a representation of Dance God Lloyd. As he promised, Cash and
My name is Kwesimi. Kwesimi.
Kwesimin. Yeah, Kwesimin. I like the way he's saying it. It's like American. My name is Kwesimin. All right. So you're welcome. You're welcome. So we are having a discussion on Afropop space, dance space, with some lawyers of ours, and they are very astute and very good at breaking down things. But Robert is putting them on the spot every time. So you can continue.
I think I lost my train of thought, but
Oh,
I
sorry.
would like to say that one thing with our legal system in Ghana, most common law countries, is that the system is adversarial, it's not inquisitorial. So there are some countries that when they themselves see that, okay, this thing in the law needs explanation, so before that, you mentioned that you need a lawyer to interpret the law to you. Lawyers don't interpret the law. That's the judiciary. It's the work of the judiciary. That is why when something happens, there's a misunderstanding. We take it to court for them to interpret for you. We can't interpret. What I can tell you is what I think they would say based on their previous decisions or their previous holdings. So if it's not right for a lawyer to say 100% you win this case with no backing. Maybe he has read the law, he has seen that, okay, this is what the law is, this is what they always hold. So then, if our case falls in line with that, then you can win.
Okay.
You know, that's,
So, are you a lawyer?
yes, I am.
You are interpreting the law to us.
No, I'm explaining.
Good. It means you're explaining the law. At the end of the day, it's information about the law. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay,
That we are all citizens of this country.
Yes.
And yet, the system is making it such a way that other citizens will have to go to a certain set of people for them to give an interpretation or explanation of what is supposed to be governing everybody. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
In
So
the
let's
legal
blame the system
space,
so that I'm not
in
blaming
the
you.
legal space, if you say interpretation, then you are making me a judge. I can never be a judge.
Okay, explanation.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you remember primary school, three arms of government.
breakdown, yes.
We have the judiciary, they interpret laws. We have the executive, what they do, they make it. We have the other people. Those things. So good. So that is it. So the adversarial system is such that you have to go, you have to take the case. They have to see what the problem is. When they see the problem, then they give you the solution. Other places, they sit down, they read, they go through occasional review, they say, okay, this can be problematic. So let us let the people know that this is what we meant by that law. We don't have that system in Ghana. That is why most of the times when something happens, we say, go to the courts, because they have the right to do that. Yes. Secondly, I would not encourage that every little thing you take a lawyer to take it to court. That's not all we do. We help people settle things behind, you know, it's not always in court, because litigation is a lot of work. But like you are saying, or like someone said earlier, or like I got to know today about the performance rights, I had forgotten about it, and I'm a lawyer. So imagine someone who has infringed on your work. The person doesn't know that this is what the law says. If you reach out to a lawyer, one of the things we always do, you come and you say, this person has done this person has done that. The first thing we do is we write to the person. We let the person know that this is what you have done. It is contrary to the law. The law says so and so and so. So please, desist. If you will compensate, you compensate. That's the first course of action, at least in my firm. That's what we do first. You don't come and complain, oh, man, we have a case, let's meet in court. No. We write to the person. We wait for a response. Sometimes we give you months to respond. And most of the time, people respond, they apologize. We didn't know that this is what the law was, so we are sorry. We are willing to settle. Let us have a meeting. We do that, and it ends there. I'm talking about this because I think we had the choir, an issue, the choir, the band. Yes, we had a case, it had to do with the band. They had gone into, they were doing something with an artist. There was no contract, there was nothing. They came to us, we managed to settle it behind the scene. So not everything has to go to court. That's not what we are trying to say. But we are trying to say that at least when you are doing something, you need to know what is backing it legally, what your rights are, so that when somebody infringes on it, you know the protection that the law affords you. That's it. So moving on from that, the second aspect is contract. Yes. I know, since you're in this space, you should know about split sheets. Okay.
Do we know about
Split sheets.
No.
Let me ask some of you are the popular dancers, right? Do you know about split sheets? Oh, okay.
I spoke for them. Can we go on?
So I know about split sheets from
Music, yeah.
So I don't know if you are referring to the same thing, but
Split sheets are split sheets. It can be for music, it can be for dance, it can be for content creation. Though in us, like I said, in the area of music, more has been done there, unlike the area of the dance and the other creative. Yeah, so maybe there's split sheet, but you don't know it. You can also work with that.
In addition to that, let's put the split sheets aside, or let me say it's a type of a contract, basically. So in the area of music, you know, we have the vocalist, we have the instrumentalist, we have the person that does the in the back, yeah. But all of them has, what do they call it? Background singing, backing vocalist. Yes, backing vocalist. So all of them come together to make the song, right? When it goes outside, everybody should get something. You should be entitled. We all must eat, man for chop, you know. So the split sheet is what they use to determine that, okay, you the main vocalist, this is your percentage. You the guitarist, pianist, instrumentalist, you get this. You the you get this. I brought that up because it's a type of contract. So I think that in this area as well of dance, one thing people should start utilizing a contract, so that if one telecommunication company is doing something and they want you to dance for them on the platform and they'll pay you some money, at least let it be written down, so that you are not done dancing, you are finished sweating, you know, people have spat on you and things because everybody is hey. Then they say, oh, we don't have enough, so you dear take this one. But in the beginning, they told you something else, and you have nothing to show that this is what they promised you, so you go away with what they're offering you in the end. No, we have contracts for a reason. So I think if we utilize contracts in this space as well, it's going to prevent a lot of the misunderstandings and stuff going on. Now, one thing about the contract is that you can have an oral contract or a written contract. It doesn't always have to be written. Once there's an offer, there's acceptance, there's consideration. Consideration may be in different forms. It may be in money, or it may be in you doing what they asked you to do. That is consideration. Or, what else? What's other type of consideration? Let me just deal with money or the action for now, yes. So the offer, the acceptance, the consideration, and there's that intention that, okay, we are parties to this thing. That's a contract. So if you have, so I tell Mr. George, I believe, I tell Mr. Robert that, I have this program going on here. Can you come and dance? That's my offer. You say yes. You have accepted. I say, okay, I have 10,000 for you now. When you dance, I'll give you another 10,000. So I'm giving you my 10,000. That's consideration. Now, we have intended that this thing will be binding. That's it. That's a contract.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please let's clap for our one and only lawyers in the house. It's not easy. And so please, let's do this. At least, I think we've taken more from you. However, when we finish, our colleagues over here will love that you leave your number. Now you become our personal lawyers, whereby you advise us, you guide us, and whenever we are in trouble, at least we have someone to call as artists.
That's
and
perfect.
This door has opened a window to meet the legal practitioners and artists, and we don't get it from anywhere, just here in the dance department. Thank you very much. Let's clap for our lawyers. Please, even though I didn't allow her to finish, I'm so sorry because of time. We have 7 p.m. to 10 to run another big show, and they are all getting ready for that. So I'm begging you, with all due respect, we will move to the HOD who have a quick interaction with our colleagues over here. I hope you're not leaving us. I love the smile, meaning yes, they are staying. Ladies and gentlemen, let's clap for them like that. HOD, please take over.
All right. So I intentionally called Robert Clark to be here because he's one guy who has delved into dance so much. So he understands from both sides issues in dance and then issues in practice as well. So I called him so that we can moderate this round table. So we have a new visitor who just arrived, and I want you to tell us who you are and what you do.
Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm Michael Pepra. I'm a dance artist from the Ghetto Studio, and I'm also a director who directs like dance projects and other stuff. Yeah, this is me. That is what I do, and that is my life.
So I didn't hear the AKA.
Okay, so my stage name is Real Azonto US, and also known as Street in Kwa.
Street in Kwa. Okay, so we want to kick into the roundtable discussion on the Afropop field and how it has treated us. I think one common question that I would like to put across is, how do you see the Afropop space now? And by that, I'm referring to the dance. How do you see it? Is it moving up? Has it plateaued? That is, has it stopped? Or is it on the decline? Who would want to take this question first? The Afropop dance terrain. Is it moving up? Is it static now? Is it on the decline? Because just like Azonto started, everybody was for it. It went viral across the world. And then the next few years, it was Al Qaeda. It was P-Square's
Dr.
Alingo.
Terry,
Yes.
please, I think this is a time where you guys also educate us. Which one is Afropop?
I was about to ask that question.
All right. Okay. I thought you read about it before you came. Okay, so it's a very, but the explanation is simple, right? So, you know,
She didn't read. You guys didn't. You don't read about it. It's there. It's written.
Yes, we read about it, but we want to hear about it from the people involved.
Oh, I'm just trying to let them know, just like the way the law is there, and we are supposed to read. This one, it's on videos. They've been seeing it.
Oh yes, we see, but you see, the same way you say we don't
I'm just
educate.
pulling your legs. Don't worry.
No way. You guys also don't educate us, so this is the time to educate us as well.
Yeah, we
Okay,
show,
so
we show it in a way that you can see it.
so let me
We
quickly do
enjoy.
this.
Definite what?
So let me quickly do this. So in 2010, towards 2011, we developed a dance in Ghana called Azonto. Okay. And it went so viral because some musicians also participated in it, created music on it, and it went viral across the world. At that time, the social media space was now coming into full gear. Then when it developed, people realized that individuals were using the social media space to put themselves out there and connect to the dance. So now it became a kind of a craze that if I release a music and I do a few movements with these Azonto dance styles, and I put it out there and I say it's a dance challenge, then individuals will not come on board and then do same. And that is what made the... So now people became conscious of the fact that social media space is now active, and our Azonto dance has gone viral. And the pop dance space is such that it is always on the move. So people are always trying to create new things to push the old ones aside. That is a pop dance space. So once it was now connected to being viral across the social media space, people were quick to create new dances so that they can push the Azonto into another. Meanwhile, there was another group of persons who thought that Azonto going viral in Ghana must be maintained and held onto because it has become a cultural marker. Okay. And so they released dances like Al Qaeda. The Nigerians tried annexing the dance and named it Alingo. It didn't work, right? And then they decided consciously to create dances that would take the space. So they created Shoki, and then they created Shaku Shaku, and they all went viral. Okay. Then gradually, the musicians outside started trying to create another form of music, all right? From the Azonto music, they started trying to create another form because they saw it was connected to Ghana. They must do something to change the face and all that. So they created a kind of music called Afrobeats. Afrobeats now tried to annex the Azonto dance, which was now taking on all these new other dances, like the Al Qaeda, the Shaku Shaku. They started taking them on, okay? And so they named the new musical practice Afrobeats, all right? And then some also said that it should be named Afropop. So I remember it was a discussion between myself and Robert, and I was advocating that we make it Afropop so that it will be distinct from the music, all right? So the Afro that comes in there is a prefix that suggests a collective African kind of practice. Okay, so when all the other nations now realize that, look, this Azonto is connected to Ghana and people are now, clamoring and trying to bring out all kinds of dances, most of the African dances, especially Nigeria and South Africa, started pushing their dances, all right, which were also going very viral, all right. So at the latter part of it, South Africa released this dance called Gwara Gwara, which came to overshadow everything. So now they started putting all these dances together. Because if you are doing it, you do the Ghana Azonto, and then you move on to do Nigerian Shaku Shaku, and then Shoki, and then you move on to do Gwara Gwara and all that. So they package all these dance practices and name them Afropop. So Afropop, because of the prefix Afro, which is in relation to Black Africa, especially from the hair style, which represented the Black community, has now become a dance practice, that incorporates all dances from across Africa. And some individuals are contesting it, especially the South Africans. I learned that some of the Afropop dancers met some of these South Africans on some platform in Europe or in Asia, and they were saying that no, Amapiano is Amapiano. It is different from Afropop. But hey, it is what it is. Afropop is Afropop. The prefix Afro suggests that it subsumes all the other dances that are coming from the globe of Africa and from the Black community in other places. Okay, so in a nutshell, that is what Afropop is. So when we refer to Afropop, it is that. Okay, and these guys are representing it big time. But there are some who still want to hold on to the fact that Azonto is the king of the dances, because that is the beginning, the genesis of all these new things. And I side with them to some extent, But I realize that this new language of Afropop is a suggestion from the youth that are pushing that we should be conscious of the African continent coming together as one. These are all languages, dance languages that they speak. And when you amalgam all of them together as one, it's suggesting to all the politicians out there that Africa must be united and not divided. And that is my addition to the mix. Thank you very much. So, back to my question. Is Afropop moving on? Has it plateaued? When I say plateau, I mean, has it come to a standstill? Is it on the decline? In your view?
I think, Dr. Terry, you answered it. One question, please don't ask any question again. Or it's either she's not asking any question, or Dr. Terry is not going to answer any question again.
Well, if you want to look at what I have said, I am trying to push an ideology, all right? But as to the dance in itself, all right, Azonto was still on the move. People had an idea about Azonto and still clinging to it whilst the system was moving. Okay, and it has moved to a point that we have Afropop, and we still have people who are saying that, hey, Charlie, Azonto is Azonto.
Yes,
I think I'm asking the question based on that.
Good. I think in general, we know that when the moves are created by Ghanaians within our space, we refer to it as Azonto. When it comes from any other part of the country, any other part of the continent, it is Afropop. All right. So Azonto still lives, just like you would probably have when you have Kwaito and their own derivatives and stuff like that, and it keeps going on. It's still in the line of the Kwaito space. But when it is, under the Afropop umbrella, then obviously you want to be able to call it the Afropop. So we have the dictionary. People are creating. We have Azonto A to Z. Every now and then they keep adding new steps. Yeah. So for as long as you add the steps, these steps, Ghanaian-based steps, we refer to them as Azonto. And so Azonto has never really passed, because when we talk about it, 2010, 2011, it wasn't really so much about the creation of the dance. I think it was a naming of the dance and it's going viral, because Boy and Kogo and stuff like that were from, Mezo of Capo has featured in it and it still does. So these steps existed, but I think it was a naming and commercialization that went from that particular time that gave it its presence. And I know in South Africa too, they've had their dance steps, like, some of them have been there for a long time. So if you put all of these things together, it's just, presently we have the naming that gives it the kind of vibe. And I think for some people, they even refer to it as Afro beats dance, and some also refer to it as Afro. But in general, it's pop the word pop has to do with popular, so it's popular dance. All right, in music, it's popular music, and so that's the umbrella that pieces everything together. So I think the explanation that you gave in terms of explaining the concept of Afropop basically pointed to the fact that the evolution is on. We are at a stage where it's huge. All Africans are on board, and the youth of Africa seems to be consistently creating and pushing the envelope. But these things are always done in tandem with the music that comes out. So you'd realize that music plays a key role in whatever we are doing, because without the music, most of the dance steps would probably not even exist, or the dance steps usually connect or amplified by the music. And so that is how they work hand in hand. But this is not different from anything we've already had traditionally, because Adowa is not just a dance; there's a sound. Agbaja is not just the movement; there's a sound. Bamaya is not just it's like that. So I think for as long as we work with the sound, we are able to create more. Sometimes you create without the sound and you place it on it and it works, but the music amplifies it ultimately, and they all go together. So I think that for me, really, we are at a place where Africa is comfortable, everybody is on board, the dance narrative is being pushed, and we thank God for social media, because we don't need anybody's permission to put our works out.
Anybody want to do any contribution towards the question?
It's a contribution. So for me personally, I've always been confused about Afropop, because when we talk about Azonto, it's a dance and a music genre. Asoko is a dance and a music genre. This Afropop, I have been hearing of it. I know there is a music genre to it. And if you observe the Ghanaian dance scene, each of them has their differences. When someone is dancing Azonto, you can tell this is Azonto. When someone is dancing Afropop, you can tell this is Afropop. Dance God Lloyd, DWP. When someone is dancing Asoko, strictly street, you can also tell that. And each of them has their music to it. Yeah. For example, Azonto is basically speaking about whatever that is happening on the street of Accra, like a communicative vibe. Yeah. So the dance steps also has meanings to it. For example, I created JJJ because it got to a time people were bragging online. So like, yeah, JJJ, Azonto, yeah, wash and wear, Azonto. But when you come to Asopo, it's strictly street. That is our space, yeah. That is why I was waiting to listen to the Afropop aspect, because when you observe the dances and the music it goes with it, it has a way they dance to it. When you go to South Africa, as you were saying, Gwara Gwara has a dance style it is classified under, which is Benga. They have Amapiano, they have Jeet, and what else? They have Survival and they have Pantula. Yeah. So each of them, when you go to Ivory Coast, they have Coupé de Calais, they have Zouglou.
The Francophone.
Yes, they have Zouglou. When you go to, they have Biama. Angola. They have Kuduru and some other styles over there. Afro House is from there. Ndumbolo is from Congo. They do Ndumbolo and imbocalization. When you come to Gabon, they have Bolo, they have Encham, they have Jazzy. Each of them goes with a music. Yeah. So with how you explained it, I understood it as Afrofusion. Like a fusion of it all. But then, who is spearheading the Afrofusion?
Okay. So let me explain something. You see, the issue of Afrofusion, these are all semantics. Okay, they are all semantics. They are all terminologies that people are using just to create a path. Okay, so Afrofusion actually started from South Africa. It was based on choreography. Okay, the lady is called Glassen or something. I've forgotten the name. I don't know whether Rondo is Rondo here. She's gone. She actually started creating Afrofusion in the 90s. Okay, so it's a terminology that has been used. She was trying to look at mixing contemporary African movements with ballet, with all kinds of, okay, to give it some kind of African direction. And by that direction, she prefixed it with Afro and said it's a fusion. Okay, and I see the young ones trying to now adapt that and say that Afrofusion is what? You understand? From my perspective, just like Azonto subsumed the movement that came, so from Kogon, Bohe, Pe, and all those movements, Azonto subsumed all that. They came before, way before, some 15 years before. You understand? Awe Elano and all those ones, which Asamoah and all those guys were doing. It subsumed all of them. Okay. The same way I am seeing Afropop. Because you see somebody said he's dancing Afropop, and you see at one moment he's doing Azonto, and then he changes, he's doing Pantula, he changes, he's doing Gwara Gwara. You understand? And so it's a mixture of all that put together under one roof. It's Afropop. So somebody would decide and say that, okay, I want to call it Afrofusion. It is nothing, it's just semantics. You understand? It is the same. It is one and same, all right? But if you want to revisit what that lady, why have I forgotten? It's Glassen or something. What that lady did, she even included ballet in her choreography, the movement. So he created a kind of a technique and called it Afrofusion. You understand? And so I see these semantics being bundled around by the young ones who are coming. And everybody trying to create that impression that I know the business. And therefore, I think it is Afrofusion. And then someone says, oh, no, it's Afropop. And someone also said, no, it is Urban Afro something. And they are bundling all kinds of names around. And I see just one thing. It is trying to bring together all the energies from all the African countries into one. And I believe strongly it's a strong statement coming from the youth, the African youth. And you realize it became even more pronounced when they killed George Floyd in the US and the world started doing Black Lives Matter and all that. There was demonstrations all around the world and the black people started speaking up. And that is what is in pop. That a lot of us are practicing, but we are not conscious of it. So your body and your mind crystallizes the information that you get from outside. And that is the reason why they created Azonto. All right? The people had suffered. Politicians are coming and going, and they are struggling. Every time they are struggling. And so they created a dance they called work. The youth needed work. Azonto is called a pa originally. Okay? We needed work. All right? And so the kind of channels that they use their movement to go through the work. That's how come wash and wear and all those telephony business and all that. Their chores and all that. They put all into one bowl. But at that time, politicians were not listening. Okay, what they were doing was they were looking somewhere else. And Alan Cash of the MPP came out to say he's going to provide jobs for. But he didn't win the MPP primaries. But he was on point on what the youth needed at the time. Okay, so you are practicing the thing. But what is, because the human being is a complex being, what is being crystallized within your body, you are not aware. And you create that space for dialogue, for rhetoric, for message to politicians, the powers that be. So the Afro-pop craze and the Afro-beats craze that has come up are the youth telling us and the people at the helm of affairs, the politicians and all that, that it is about time that we bring our energies together as an African continent. That is why the term Afro keeps re-emerging. So people are saying it's Afrofusion and Afropop, Afrobeat. There is an Afro there. That term over there is telling politicians, just like Azonto told them years back, and they were not listening. Today, that the African politicians must make sure that we come together as one. Because it is crystallized within you. All the information that you process around you, those are the movement that you create. You create a movement called Wache. What? The person is hustling. You understand? Wache is a common place for the young one. That to put food on the table, Charlie, you need some Wache, so they create a dance about it. Do you understand? And it is all movement that are within the young one, and they are pulling it out. And so don't take it lightly as if it is it's a banter between who is going to get it right and say that it's Afrofusion, or who is going to get it wrong and say that it's Afropop. They are deep underlying certain messages down there in what we are creating, and you must be conscious of that. Okay, you must be conscious. I have that written in my. So all the things that Robert said about genre and the name and the music and all that, they are in my PhD thesis. Okay, discussing issues on when you create a dance and a music. The dance and the music have the same name. It has longevity. It keeps long to die. That's why Azonto is struggling to die. You understand? Because the dance and then the music have the same name. But if you create a dance and the dance has just one simple, like Pilolo, you understand? Pilolo is surviving because of Azonto. You understand? Because of Afropop. Because people, once in a while, they will do it. You know, the movement. Because we are trying to amalgam the movement all into one piece. But if you do any dance, and you do it with a music, and the music is called Bobobo, the dance is called Bobobo, it stays for a very long time. And a typical example is High Life. It was created before Panlogo. High Life was created in the 1920s. But today, it is still High Life. When we mention High Life, it has become a national kind of dance practice, just like the Azonto. Okay, so there are deep-seated things that sometimes when you read, you will get. We have written about some of these things. Okay, and I think that it is about time. That's why we created this platform, so that we can share ideas, so that you go there, you become more or less like ambassadors, for the knowledge.
Please, what's the music for Panlogo?
What?
What's the music for Panlogo?
It's Panlogo.
Is Jama Panlogo?
No. So Robert, you want me to talk plenty? Okay. So I read an article. Somebody said Jama is an Akan creation, because they say yakoshe Jama. Yakoshe Jama. The shit there is an Akan word, means burn. So we are going to burn Jama. And that if you are learning, you have to sit and learn for a long time. And say you are burning the candlelight. So Yakoshe Jama means that you are going to do the dance and music practice. That will take a long time. Yakoshe Jama. But Jama, from my research, is a Ga word. Ja, ma, ja, oti, ma. Unless you eat kenke, you cannot do this dance. Okay? Ja, ma. And therefore, it comes from the Ga community. All right? And it is a genre that metamorphosed from death. Okay? Funeral dances and how they eulogize the dead body. Okay? So they created this species too. And it dovetailed into what we call jams. Okay? When we were growing up, we used to have pop bands, all right? And they play band, all right? And they call them jams, all right? And that kind of practice in the secondary schools and students picking from this practice when people die and then they will do the jama thing, moved into their own space where yeshi jama, and then they and note that most of the students were from Greater Accra, all right? They weren't Accra boys. They were like, my dad is from Kwahu, my mom is from Egan, right? My dad is a Kwahu man who has come to Accra to come and live here. So I speak Chi and I speak Gan, all right? And I went to school at St. Peter's. So there were several people who were coming from Accra, who were going to school in Kumasi, Tamale, blah, blah, blah. And they were Akans, they were Evers, they were so and so and so and so. And they were using the terminology, Ashijama, Yakoshijama. So if a Chi person is going to say, Oyashi Jama, you say Yakoshi Jama. So you think it's Chi. You understand? But it is Ayashi Jama. And it is coming from Pan, Shimo. All right? The stomping of the ground during the Pan, the Gan, Pan. All right? So it is a complex kind of creation that has come. You understand? So don't confuse Jama with Panlogo, because Panlogo is a dance that started only in the 1950s, middle 1950s.
No, not the dance. The music.
The music is called Panlogo music.
Yeah.
In fact, they called it Lolo. Mm-hmm. Lolo means love. It was a love dance. It's a flirtatious dance. Mm-hmm. All right? So they created so most of the time they say, Washi Lolo. Right? Mm-hmm. So they are going to play the drums. So Panlogo was called either Lolo or Panlogo. So Panlogo music and Panlogo dance is the same name for both of them. Okay? But it was AKA Lolo.
Okay.
And the Lolo has now fizzled out.
The instrumentation that supports Jama.
Uh-huh. Yes, so we have the tambourine, yeah, which is one of the key things. It's the square drum. It is not a traditional drum. You see the square drum that they hold to boom, 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 yeah, tambourine. It is not a traditional drum. Those square things are all coming from the European interregnum, all right? So they went to Fernando Po, all right? And that is where they learned that there were artisans there, people who were carpenters and all that at Fernando Po. So they were leaving the shores of Accra in boats, and they'll go to Fernando Po and go and work there and make some money. And they learned that creation of that box drum from there, and they brought it to Accra. And so the tambourine that you see, people think that is the traditional drum. No. It is a drum, they're saying that they learned from Fernando Po, and they brought it to Ghana. And so when you see them using that, it's not indigenous. We have the Panlogo drums, 3 set Panlogo drums, which are indigenous to Ghanaian community. The same way you see djembe today, that drum with the rope, it's not Ghanaian, but we are using it to play Panlogo and all that. And, they are not Ghanaian. They are from the Guinea area. I hope I've answered the question. Yeah. So Palogo is like, but as dancers, yeah, Palogo is a mixture of rock and roll, twist dance, and the pa, the gan pa dance. All right. I'm talking specifically to the dance itself. So they mix pa dance, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. They mix it with rock and roll twist, which you just have to twist your leg. And so you see the Palogo, there's a kind of a twist movement in it. That is the movement that they created. But at the beginning, they were trying to draw from all kinds of musical practices. So they pulled from high life. And high life is a mixture of jazz, brass band, blah, blah, blah. They pulled from all those sources and created what we call high life. Church piano that they play, yeah, they pulled from all those and they created high life. So in effect, Palogo drew from that, you know, the playing type, you know, the melodies and all that, and they created the Palogo rhythm. Okay, so that is what it is. It's a dance that was created only in the 1950s. High life was created before Palogo. Okay, Bobobo was created after, in and around the same time that Palogo was created. The two of them were created at the same time, in and around the same time. Okay, so they are deep underlying that you have to understand and see the way forward. So Robert has made me talk plenty. I have, yes, you want to add?
One dog. Personally, while moving about and meeting other African country dancers,
I would love to.
I realized that this Afro pop thing is just here that we talk about it. When you meet Angolans and when they teach you the context of their movement, they will never mention anything that is related to anything around them. They talk to you about Afro house, kuduru, and kuduru. Like that's what they do. And then anything that comes, like they created the style, and then they now, the structure of the style encompasses a lot of things that are happening in the community. So, exactly. But then here lies the case where with us, with Azonto encompassed a lot. The things before and even the things that happened after even the invasion of Azonto. But then after a while, we are no more talking about Azonto, but then we are bringing new names and all of these things. And now it looks like Azonto is dead. But then with time, all the things that were coming were also like connected to Azonto. Because even in terms of movement, through the steps that came afterwards, we were able to generate new movements. But now, if you go to maybe, say, DWP space, how they move, it's connected to Azonto, and for me, I'll even say it's still Azonto, but then we'll call it another thing. But then this, in a way, I can't say, the context of how you even teach the style when you travel outside. Because it's like, okay, now what style are you teaching? Someone came and someone said, a Ghanaian said, I'm teaching Afro pop. And then we asked, what is Afro pop? This person said it's Afro and hip hop mixed together. And me, I was like, all the steps you did, if I look at it, this is Azonto 100%. So why are we confusing ourselves with these things and then not saying that, okay, it's Azonto? A lot of things fall under the umbrella of Azonto. And then we are able to structure it well for us to also have a very good context when we are teaching. Yes, this is one. Two, same with the Afropop thing. Because, same with the Afropop thing. I think that we as Ghanaians, naturally, we have a lot of things fused in our society and community already. Because I've seen Panchula, I've seen, say, even just Nigeria here. There is nothing that I would say that you can have, like, Nigerians doing even Gwara Gwara. It's very hard. Like, it's very difficult. Recently, when we went for the battle, even how we move, it's like new to them. They are like, why are you moving like this? It's different. Because all they know is their leg work. And this is what is for them. But with us, we are very open to all of these things, and which is a good thing. But I feel that as much as we are open, we should also be able to draw the line between, okay, right now this is this and this is that. If you are opening up, you're open to this and all of that.
Hello, my name is Kwesimi once again, and I understand you perfectly. But what I think Uncle Terry has been preaching all along is most of us, let me use myself as an example. I'm Kwesimi. I learned the Afro pop. Like, for example, I infuse everything. I do the gara in my steps. I do some of the leg works in my choreographies. That's why when I go somewhere, I tell you I'm teaching Afro pop or Afro fusion, or because it has a blend of all the African things, like the African dance style in it. Do you understand? I don't know who you met that the person was in pure Azonto and then said this and this and that. But I feel like when most of us go out, we represent Afro pop or Afro fusion because we infuse all the African steps in our routines or our choreographies. Because I'm teaching a routine, I'm doing Guaragara, I do some of the Azonto, I do wash and wear, I do all of that. I cannot say it's Azonto because there's Guaragara in there. So I cannot tell you I'm teaching Azonto. No, it is not Azonto. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Hello.
You're making a lot of sense. So
Hello.
can you also speak to that?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So with Kwesi, let me come to what you are saying. With what Twitches is saying, yes, the fact that we have Afro pop, we have the basic of Azonto and all that. What he was saying is, the person, what he saw was 100% Azonto. So why is it not that the person could clearly bring it out? I am teaching, this is Azonto, because you and I know movement from Azonto, and you and I will know movement from Afropop. So maybe it might be maybe mistakenly or not clear understanding of Afropop and Azonto. That's the person made a mistake. But then he is trying to say, this should be this should be that.
Interesting. Does any of you want to speak to it? You wanted him. Okay, so
It's not that what you said, I get you. It's not that I'm against it or anything. Me, I do a lot of styles.
I know.
Me, I dance plenty things. But then the thing is that you should know when it gets to a point where now you are going to teach, you should know what you're teaching. Because in the moments where you don't know it, it becomes it creates a lot of things for even the community and the people who are doing the thing back home. Because right now, you go and say one thing. Me, if I go there and I go and say my own, it'll be like a conflict. Yes, this is the thing. And I feel that the reason why I brought the topic was because this issue of Azonto is dead. Azonto is this and that and that and that. It is this one of the things that caused it. Because everyone is like, I want to do my own. Everyone wants to name something or do something.
Exactly.
And this is worrying the movement. The movement is there and it's for the community. Every time new things will come into the community. It doesn't mean certain things are gone. No, it's not gone. It is what influenced those things to happen. Why not give credit to those things and we move on? But
Beautiful.
rather...
Azonto, you want to say something? You talk, you blow the whole place. Speak your mind. Speak your mind.
Okay, so
But under control.
because
We don't need to get.
I feel
angry
like
over it, yeah?
most time we confuse ourselves and we in ourselves like we mislead the culture, and this is really not making what we have to be in the position of how it's supposed to be. I understand your side, but for you, you think it's that for your side, and you do it like that. But then we have most like 1,000 people out there who do it different and who says like these people says it's mix of hip hop and Afro. So like you being here, of course you know, but then we have like billions of people out there who don't know, and these are the people who are misleading the thing. So this is what we want you to understand. So say you too, you can also preach to them, educate them so that they will know. Okay? Yeah.
Nice one. You want to say something?
I think for us, it's like when we are talking from the perspective of teaching. Okay. I hope you get it. So let's say if you are teaching Afropop, for you understand. For us, we've been hearing hip-hop and Azonto. That was why when it came about, I was so happy about that. If you are to teach Afropop, let's say, outside, and you are to bring a movement like Guaragara, to be honest, the Guaragara we do here is just small. It's not a complete movement. I saw it, and I was so surprised. So you'll be teaching it, and then a South African will be there looking like you like this. And you are like, okay. But that's like 1/4 of the movement. You get it? So for me, if I'm coming to teach, I don't know about Afropop. I know about Azonto.
That's right.
Yes. If I'm telling you about wash and wear, I can explain it to you and into details.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So maybe if you are going to make it known to people, you can let them know that I'm teaching a choreography. And in a way, sometimes it doesn't help us over here. You have to be very authentic and know what you are doing. Like you are doing yours. You get it? What else should I add?
Okay. So yeah, Robert. I have something I just want to quickly say. So one of our biggest challenges we have is the continuity of the Azonto sound. I had a session with some of the producers, and I mentioned to them that a lot of dancers are traveling internationally representing the culture, and they are using songs that were created over 10 years ago, songs that were created over 15 years ago, because today the producers are no longer churning out Azonto-based sound so that the people can use. And then they go like, it's true, that kind of stuff. Why? Because they have changed their sound a little. So it doesn't allow for us to do the typical things we used to do. So that's one of our biggest challenges. And I'm still hoping that that can be addressed. As a matter of fact, there's a reason why Dope Nation is trending. It's because it borrows all the elements of Azonto into what it does. And that's the reason why people are able to jump to it effortlessly. So that is one. The second one has to do with those who are teaching. Those who are teaching are sharing information that may not be accurate, and sometimes that's a problem. So we need to get to that point where teachers would pay a little attention to the cultural component of what they are doing, to understand it, so that when you stand before people and you're teaching, you can give them background information. When I'm learning Kizomba from an Angolan, they give you the reason why they even step the way they step. They give you the cultural undertones for why they hold, the name, the meaning, when it started, the how they use it to liberate themselves, and the party, like they go into it. So there's a cultural element, and that's exactly what he was talking about with respect to Kuduro and all of that. So, and we do that when we go international and we're explaining to them the concept of Azonto. We also do that. So I think that it is that thing that we need to be able to understand. One of the biggest challenges, which he also highlighted, which also exists and we need to deal with, is the plenty names. And I don't know if it has to be from the perspective of the university and the dance department, because we know university is responsible for research, and when they do research, they also help to maintain that which exists. So they may not be responsible for the creation, but once they research and they get the information, they can help with, structure to a certain extent. But if we are able to do that, it would help greatly. Why? Because we are facing the same thing in the music side. Today somebody is giving a name, tomorrow somebody is giving a name. But I always give this particular explanation when you go to musicology, dealing with names like hip-hop. Hip-hop has been hip-hop since up till date. You can create your trap, it is still hip-hop. You crank, it is still hip-hop. They have gangster rap, they have this, but all of them fall under what? Hip-hop. And so is that one umbrella. If you go into salsa, we have salsa on 1, we have salsa on 2, we have LA style of salsa, we have the Colombian salsa, Puerto Rican salsa, all of them, but it is all salsa. And then there are the variances that you have in there. So once you get in there, salsa is played, and these are the the variations that comes with it. The Cuban salsa, all of them are in there, and it's all salsa. You understand what I'm saying? But we are looking for, I created this, and I mean, no. So the best you probably do is you created a dance step. The dance step is welcome to join under the umbrella, and let's keep riding. Because really, if we're able to do that, all of this plenty confusion would not exist. And then, every now and then, anything that adds, we allow the system to be able to grow, to embrace whatever it needs to embrace. These are my thoughts, really.
Thank you very much. So I remember a few years back, I spoke to Robert about the issue of Azonto and my pain that we are letting Azonto die off. I am one person who actually resented the idea that Azonto should die. And you know the issues that you are mentioning, I love the fact that a lot of you have now gone into teaching, all right? And so you are in the field and you are interacting with people and you know that you have to perfect the trade and be able to know terminologies and what the details of it. That is what teaching does, okay? But you realize that at the beginning when Azonto started and it was on the move, I had an insider. So I used to go to the clubhouse, okay? Saturdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday. I go there, sit down, interact with them, watch them, ask questions and all that. And one of the guys who gave me insight into the Azonto craze, may his soul rest in peace, Tete. Tete told me at a point that, forget about Azonto, is dead. These are people who were in the field, right? He told me all about the moves and people who were connected to the Al-Qaeda and all that. He said, the new one is Al-Qaeda. So I realized that people on the ground who did not understand the concept and the importance of maintaining that tradition were in a hurry to move on because of social media. So he said, forget about that one. Now it's Al-Qaeda and then those that Azonto movement is. I said, what are you saying? But he didn't actually understand what. But he was in there when the movements were being created. You understand? Of course, he's passed now. So I love the fact that we have a new young generation who want to hold on to the Azonto tradition. Okay. Now you said something about Asokbo. Okay. That Asokbo existed from 1993-94. There was a style that came called Asokbo, and it is basically street. All right. And what the street does is that when the timing of a particular music is slow, street will pitch it. Okay, and so all their things begin to, and that for them, it is what. So, but I want you to understand that what we do here is to understand the knowledge, the philosophies behind the things that you people produce. Okay, so the term Azonto was meant for low, cheap life woman. Okay, and later it changed to low, cheap life male or female. Okay, it's the same thing. Asokbo is low, cheap life woman. Okay, why are these terminologies connected to pop? Why? And that is our work. We delve into it and tell you that pop is actually for cheap, low life lifestyles. Okay. What those are the helm of affairs will do is to eat into it and begin to control the system. So they will create cheap caps, t-shirts, cheap ones, trousers cheap that you can have metals. There's expensive, there's cheap. All right. So for you who have maybe been able to make money, you can get a very expensive one and then you wear. You say it's Gucci, blah, blah, blah. But those on the street, there's a production going on by the rich people. We call it hegemony. All right? They are controlling the system. So it's like you breathe them. You cannot go away with them. And they are imposing. And now what has happened, and it's changing the whole system, is social media. Because in the past, you'd have to go to GTV. You have to go to TV3 and be able to showcase your trade. Now, you are bypassing all that. So all the things that are happening now, it's the thing. So the true people who want to maintain some particular line are able to now come out and say that this is the line. It is Azonto, nothing else. And then those who are also looking at bringing everything into one and amalgamating them, they're saying that it is Afro pop and we love it. what has happened is the fact that now everybody in your house, you are able to speak to the world. Okay? And so there's an open up platform over there. And therefore, you are now able to travel outside and go and do your teaching. In the past, you will sweat. How were you able to do that? How would you be able to do that without going through GTV or TV3? Or these are handled by people who are rich, okay, the elite, who are handling all these areas, and you should go through them before. But now social media has opened it up. These are questions that I was going to ask, but I think I'll have to just forget about it because we are coming to an end. I think it has been a brilliant conversation. I hope we can do this some more and bring our synergies together.
Beautiful. Robert Clark, may the ancestors bless you and give you life, more life. What this gentleman is doing is not easy. But when I watched this the recent awards night, you did very well. But I believe we can all support him. That's right. Because I realize that it's time, and Robert Clark is ready, stage is ready, sound is ready, everything is ready. But our own people that he has invited to award are not available. So please, let's support him to keep doing what he does best. And let's give a round of applause to our beautiful ladies from the legal background. Thank you so much. And please, what do we say to our industry players and the dancers who are carrying the dance to a different level? Salute to you. We love you so much. Thank you for getting the time to come and help us. Please, when we've closed this section and you go out, 7 p.m. to 10, non-stop performance. Traditional, contemporary, Afro. Now, should I use a pop or Afro mix? Afro. So we are good to go. So please, don't leave us. Get your crew. Invite someone, and let's lift the image of dance to a different level. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
Let me quickly say this, that this carnival that we are doing belongs to all of us. It's just like the Gadi Awards that we have been doing. In the near future, in fact, I'd wanted us to do that this time around, but we are not able to do it. It's unfortunate. We wanted to give some honorary certificates to some of you who are performing out there in the world, stamped by our college provost or the VC herself, because she loves what we are doing. But we are not able to do it because I didn't have time. They were calling me, Robert and Co were calling me to come and perform with my students and all that. So I didn't have time to do a lot of this stuff. So please, it is ours, all right? So when we call, just be part of it and let's make this thing work. It's going to be a yearly thing, in and around International Dance Day. Today is International Dance Day. And some of you are not aware, but that is what we timed the thing to be like. All right. So it is ours. Just be part of it. Let's let this thing move on, because when it wins, it's dance which has won. Okay. And let's just support it and make it work. Thank you very much for coming. Lawyers, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Kunucho and Co. Thank you. All students, thank you very much for coming. I think we have had a very fruitful discussion.
Doc,
and
just a minute.
Okay,
right.
Go ahead.
So I think I'm looking at where students from our department meet or mix up with the industry. Okay, you are industry. Most of you have your camps. Like, let's say, Kwesi, you have your workshops, you have training. Can we start talking about where students can come in when they want to, and they have some of experience with you, so that after school, maybe they already belong to a camp. They don't have to. These are people who already, like, let's say, they have the background here, but wish to go further. They already belong to an association or a camp. So why am I saying this? Maybe you take your participants come for your class, they pay 200 cedis. But students comes in, you know where they are coming from. So there's some negotiation between us. Can we look at that? Okay, good.
Thank you very much. So I would say for us in our camp, it's free for Africans. It doesn't matter even if you are from Ghana or it's free. So if you see the flyer, just come. We are there.
All right.
We are there for you. Come.
Oh, if Flex is not here, but let's see some of the camps that we have, right? What's your camp? Some of the students here, so that we can get to
Ghana dance camp,
associate.
Aquaba dance camp, Rich Boy dance camp,
All right.
Twitches dance camp, Azonto dance camp. So I mean, any dance camp you see our faces, just hit up, come. We are free.
So students that are present here, basically, or
Yeah.
HOD, is it not in order?
It is.
And I mean, sometimes please talk to us. We are there. We are there.
Oh, for those
If
that
you don't
have your
communicate,
contact,
you will not know because the price 1,500 euros. So if you don't communicate,
exactly.
you
So
will
that's
not know.
where I want to.
So you have
where.
to communicate. We are
All
there. We are one. Talk to us.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We
All
are
right,
there,
thank you.
we are one, and together we will lift the image of dance to a different level. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. Have a blessed evening, and we all meet at the Quadrangle. Take care.
So guys, all of you who came, some of you have your numbers. Some too, I don't have your numbers. Please make sure that we exchange numbers before you go, because we need to have these interactions